What's good, YouTube? It's LBHD. Welcome to the channel. Let's talk about transfers, and in particular the Premier League, and what players each club needs to sign. These are just my opinions. If you want to skip straight to your club, this will be done in alphabetical order. If you're excited to see who your club's going to sign, smash that like button, and let's get on with it. First up, Arsenal. Obviously, Arsenal are in need of a striker. They've been linked with a few, but one in particular, Gianluca Scamacca. A tall, powerful striker who could be exactly what Arsenal need. But obviously, they'd need to be fast, or this could be another Vlahovic situation, especially with the likes of PSG, Inter Milan, those kind of teams sniffing around. Aston Villa. As you're probably aware, Gerrard has already done some great business early on, but if they want to be pushing up the table, they need some depth in their team, and who better than the Ox? Oxlade-Chamberlain would be a fantastic signing for a side like Villa. He's versatile and he'll play anywhere in the midfield that Gerrard tells him to play. His time at Liverpool's up. He needs regular football. Aston Villa could be the place for the Ox. Bournemouth. Premier League new boys. Scott Parker looks like he's going to have a busy summer. But I've noticed in the rumours, one player on their radar is Marcus Tavernier. Now this midfielder is a bit like Marmite amongst the Borough fans. Some love him, some slate him. But you can't argue, he's had a great season, and Borough won't be too keen on letting him leave, because obviously they'll be pushing for promotion themselves. Brentford were a surprise package this season. That, for the most part, was down to Christian Eriksen, who, by the way, will probably end up at a team like Spurs. So Brentford might want to look at a creative midfielder, but they have been linked with Emmanuel Dennis from Watford. Personally, I think he'll make a big impact at Brentford and be a great strike partner for Ivan Toney. Brighton. There's not much in terms of huge rumours, apart from the obvious rumours that your standout player Cucurella is linked with an exit. Obviously teams like City and that are getting involved. They have been linked with one or two strikers. One in particular is Martin Braithwaite. I mean, he's a decent enough striker who'd actually do bits at Brighton, so it's not all bad. But again, I'm sure you Brighton fans will be able to tell me more in the comments. Chelsea. Now, Chelsea have been a bit of a mess towards the last part of the season. There was all kinds of sanctions. They lost arguably their player of the season, with Rudiger joining Real Madrid. Mason Mount being linked with an exit. Lukaku playing absolutely terrible, and they lost 2 cup finals. But now they have a new owner and things are settling down a little bit. And like I said, with Rudiger gone, they're probably going to need another centre-back. But with Chelsea also listening to offers for Timo Werner, they're going to need some serious firepower up front. This is where Lautaro Martinez comes in. Not much to say about Martinez. We all know how much of a lethal finisher this guy is. Although he wants to stay at Inter, Martinez would be an unbelievable signing for Chelsea. Crystal Palace. Palace had a great season, although they couldn't keep hold of Conor Gallagher, unfortunately. But they still need to focus on that forward position. None of their strikers have been a consistent starter. And I want to put forward Joe Aribo. We all know how good this striker is. We all seen how well he played against Frankfurt in the Europa League final. I personally think he would be a good fit for Palace. Everton. So they survived the drop, and it was mostly down to Richarlison. He done well to get some much needed goals. He was also very vocal on social media, although most of it was absolute cringe. But even he seems to be on his way out, and with Calvert-Lewin being injured frequently, they're going to need some much needed cover. Who better than Ben Brereton Diaz? We all know he's had a very good season. Although it's in the Championship, I still think he can make that jump to the Premier League. He's also versatile, so he can play on the left, as we've seen him do for Blackburn. So I think he'd be a perfect fit for what Everton need. They'll be hoping he doesn't turn out like Armstrong, who was unbelievable in the Championship and then just non-existent in the Premier League. Fulham. Another one of the Premier League new boys, Championship winners. They've been linked with Alex Moreno, the left back from Real Betis. He's been a really good player in La Liga, and he would definitely add some much needed quality to strengthen that full-back position for Fulham. Leeds. They just survived by the skin of the teeth. They left it until the very last day. As you've seen through most of the season, they really missed Patrick Bamford up front. They also had players like Cooper and Phillips missing for quite a few games. But Leeds' biggest problem, they didn't have enough squad depth. Not to mention the backups were as useless as a sunroof on a submarine. They were carried by Raphinha, and they're definitely going to need a striker who can score goals, especially if Patrick Bamford is going to be injured a lot. So why not get a player who bags plenty of goals for New York? I'm talking, of course, about Valentin Castellino. The Argentine can also play on the left or the right wing, which is a bonus for Leeds, especially for when Raphinha inevitably leaves. They're going to face competition from new boys, Nottingham Forest. Leicester City. Now this one might be a strange one for some of you, but I've gone for Houssem Aouar. He's been a quality midfielder for Lyon through the years. He's also been linked with some big teams. He's even been linked with Arsenal. But with Tielemans potentially leaving, he would be a great replacement. But even if Tielemans stays, then he's also another great option. Liverpool, one of the big boys, unlucky to finish second. As you know, they already have a fantastic squad. There's also lots of rumours flying around. Players like Tchouaméni, who looks to be going to Real Madrid. Players like Gavi, with Mane almost certainly leaving and Diaz being a huge success. It's obviously no surprise that Klopp is looking once again at the Portuguese league, and obviously Darwin Núñez is wanted by a lot of clubs, and you can see why. He's an absolutely quality player. But at the time of recording this, no one has made an official offer just yet, but it does seem that Liverpool is his preferred destination. So I think over the next few days he will probably sign for Liverpool. He's young, he's a hungry player who suits Klopp's play style very, very well. In fact, he suits that play style perfectly, and he is the type of player that Liverpool need to push City all the way. Manchester City. Speaking of Man City, what a squad they already have, and now with the signing of Erling Haaland, they could be even more unstoppable. Every team needs good quality players to rotate in and out, and with Fernandinho gone, Calvin Phillips is the perfect replacement. He might be playing back up to Rodri. He would still be an absolute amazing signing. But now that Leeds have survived, will he want to leave? Let me know what you think in the comments. Manchester United. Man United, they had an awful season and they had to be saved by their aging hero Cristiano. But now, with Ten Hag as manager, they've been linked with a lot of Ajax and ex-Ajax players. The main one obviously being Frankie de Jong. What a player he is, by the way. There's also players like Pau Torres or Jurrien Timber who could slot in at that centre-back slot, because let's face it, Maguire has been dreadful. But I'm going to be a little bit different, and I'm going to put forward Edson Alvarez. Now, this guy is a solid CDM. You've seen what he can do for Ajax. Ten Hag knows exactly how good this player is. I think he's the type of solid midfielder that United have been missing. Newcastle United. Right then, the Geordies. With the money these guys have, they've been linked with a lot of people. There's even some ridiculous shouts like Neymar. They do need a goal scorer, and obviously the strikers at the minute aren't good enough, but Victor Osimhen is. Newcastle will have to pay big money for him. Arsenal thought 85 million was too much, but that's nothing for Newcastle, especially if he can fire them up the table into those European spots, which, let's face it, that's where they're going to want to be. Nottingham Forest. Last one of the Premier League new boys. Forest will really need to strengthen some areas if they want to survive. The main focus for Forest, in my opinion, should be a goalkeeper. And with Burnley relegated, they have a chance to get Nick Pope. Although he won't be cheap, he will be a very good signing. We've all seen it before. He's proved how good he actually is. So we know he's a good goalie, and they're certainly going to need one, especially now that Bryce Samba wants to leave. Southampton. As usual, Southampton's James Ward-Prowse is rumoured to be a target for other clubs. And why not? He's a good player. He's often very underrated. to be honest. We're not here to talk about him. We're here to put forward Harry Winks. Now some of you might think why, but Winks is a very capable midfielder. He needs a team like Southampton to get some regular game time, which he definitely isn't going to get at Spurs. I think he'd be a really good signing, especially if Ward-Prowse stays, and even if he doesn't, he'll still be a good signing. Tottenham Hotspur. Spurs had a good end to the season by beating Arsenal to that 4th spot. As you know, they've already made moves in this transfer market, but with how good Moreno was, he's probably going to be a Spurs player next season. As of recording this, he hasn't signed anything yet. But I want to talk about a versatile defender who Chelsea, United, and yes, Spurs have all been linked with. Of course, I'm talking about Josko Gvardiol from RB Leipzig. This guy is a quality defender. He's had a very, very good debut season, and I think him and Romero as a centre-back pairing for Spurs would be absolutely solid. And another good thing about Gvardiol is he can play across every position in that defence. West Ham. The Hammers have a few linked players, and there's always the risk of losing Jared Bowen, although I think he will stay. The obvious name I'm putting forward is Jesse Lingard. He's leaving United. He did very well on loan at West Ham. I think, again, he'd have a big impact on that West Ham team. Although other teams will be wanting him, Roma are a team that's going to go in for him. I think he'd be best suited going to London. Wolverhampton Wanderers. A few rumours floating about, but Wolves need a good attacker. And they've, of course, been linked with Takumi Minamino. Last time he left Liverpool on loan, he went to Southampton. He wasn't the greatest, but when he came back to Liverpool, he put the work in and he did very well in the cup games when they needed him. He's clearly improved, and in my opinion, he gives Wolves something different in the attack and would be a very good signing. There it is, guys. One player every Premier League club needs to sign. Do you agree with any of these players? Who would be a realistic signing for you guys? And also, who would be the dream signing? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you made it this far, you're absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Laters.